Hi, everyone. So I've decided that it would probably be a good idea to do a little video series of why I've decided to bring the gene keys into my work as a quantum healing practitioner. Um, I think that part of what I do in my work is help people to gather the tools that they came into the planet with and recognize and acknowledge what their tools are. And it's my job kind of to help people discover or rediscover those tools and sharpen those tools so that a person can understand exactly what their purpose is and why they chose to come here. And so that's what I do for myself all the time. It's a constant evolutionary process, as we all know. There's no finalization to any of this. And for me personally, the Gene Keys is the newest addition to the tools that I have added to my toolbox to help in this way. And it's been absolutely incredible, unbelievable, and what has happened and the growth that has occurred in how I work with people. So visit thegenekeys.com if you want more information about exactly the details about how this works. So just briefly, basically, um, I will explain that this is my hologenetic profile. So I decided to get pretty personal with this and use my own experience as the example because it seems the most appropriate, the one that I'm most knowledgeable about, obviously. And so this is called a hologenetic, my hologenetic profile. So hologenetic meaning that it is constantly changing and ever evolving. And so think of this as a hologram. So these are essentially my 11 out of 64 gene keys that are a personal roadmap to my own self and why I chose to come here and what I'm here to do. And so with that being said, I will say that when somebody comes into my office, I do create this exact same thing for them. I'm in my office right now. I would give you a little tour, but it's I'm very technically challenged, so I'm hoping to not have to edit anything out of this video. But I will say that yes, we could put anyone's name to this profile. So anyone who would even look at my profile could absolutely benefit through contemplating each one of these keys for themselves. However, after doing so many of these at this point, it is very fascinating, very wild to see how accurate this information is and how something magical really does reside within this whole system. And Richard Rudd, the creator of this whole thing, is an incredible human being. So I cannot encourage you enough to take a look at his work and what this actually is. It's a combination of astrology and the I Ching, and the whole idea is that you contemplate just these three words in this process, and through the contemplation of these words, amazing things occur. So each one of these are the 11 main keys that make up my personal chart. We do have an addition to this, which is called the Star Pearl. I did not add that to this because I'm just now getting into understanding more about the Star Pearl. So that's a whole addition to these 11. So these are the 11 keys out of 64. And as you can see, each one of these keys has three words connected to it. The bottom word is the shadow, the middle word is the gift, and the top word is the siddhi. It's Siddhi. It's a Sanskrit word for the highest potential of that key. And so you see there's a number 4.6 is so there's it's key number 4 with line 6. There are 6 lines in this in this modality, and there's a lot to it, but being a big fan of astrology and numerology for most of my life, the reason I'm personally drawn to this modality is because my brain can process and three words very easily, or not very easily, but it's much easier for me to stick with the three words rather than all of the stuff that's involved in astrology, for example. Um, so we have within this chart, we have um, three three parts to the chart. So three sequences: the activation, Venus, and Pearl. The green is the activation, the red is the Venus, and then the blue is the Pearl. So the activation, these four outer rings are what are called a person's four prime gifts. Essentially, I look at this as these are the four keys that activate this whole chart. And we start at the top at the life's work, move down to the evolution, and then this path in between the two here is called the challenge line. So the line connecting the life's work and the evolution is the challenge line. So for me, that's a line 6. So we go from here to here. We follow it here through the SQ, which is the spiritual quotient, over to the radiance, down into the purpose, up to attraction, IQ, intellect, spiritual quotient, or EQ, emotional quotient, up to spiritual, into vocation, and then we get to the pearl. So the life's work is the activation. I mean the activation are the green. The red are love, relationships, how we relate to one another, all of those things. And then the blue is our work and what we actually come here to do. So, in unless I'm doing a gene key reading, if somebody's coming to me for for quantum healing hypnosis work, I try to stick with the life's work and the evolution and this main path in between. It doesn't always happen that way because sometimes there will be another key that's just screaming for attention. So that will come into play also. Not that they all don't, um, but it depends on what a person's coming to me for. So this whole thing is about contemplation and contemplating what these words mean to us on a personal level. And so I just would like to read directly from what Richard Rudd says, a brief description that he gives about to the life's work. And then I'm going to use one key per video because I don't want these videos to be too terribly long. So, so my life's work, the shadow is intellect, the gift is precision, and the siddhi is impeccability, with the line 6 teacher line, which is part of the reason I'm making this video. Is I'm trying to embrace more my role as a teacher and what that means to me. I'm working hard to expand on that and see how that fits for me personally. So, what Richard Rudd says about the 60-second gene key, he says that the intellect as the shadow is what I'm reading. Your outer life is designed to be a blaze of intelligence. As you will come to know, this intelligence has more to do with having a personal sense of your own freedom than any learning you may be involved in. Your intelligence may have little to do with the mind, but it will love the mastery of some kind of exact science. Science in this respect can refer to anything at all, whatever it is that you love. What's more, you will have a great gift of communicating the nature of that science to others. Your mastery of your chosen field depends on your attention to details. You will never find such details trivial or uninspiring. In fact, they will be the greatest source of your inspiration. You have only to find the field where you feel the greatest joy and freedom and give yourself wholeheartedly to it, which is, again, why I've decided to make these videos and sharing of the profound things that have happened for me in my understanding about why I actually chose to come here during this time. So I came into this world blessed to have more freedom than any of the hundreds of people that I've spoken to so far in my office. So it's become very clear to me that um, one of my true gifts is that I learned very early on how to communicate with God through nature. And the way that I view this key, the intellect, because the whole key is to not only accept the shadow, but truly embrace the shadow, because the gift resides within the shadow. And so initially I had to try to really understand how the intellect is a shadow. And I know that when I was younger, I was called a know-it-all all often, and I really did believe that I knew it all because I didn't have roles. I don't think I ever had one role in my life as a kid, as a child, and so I really had a lot of freedom, and I didn't really understand. Um, I didn't understand why I wasn't right about everything because there were no adults around, um, and I truly spent most of my time outside of school in the woods, and I learned all kinds of things there. I learned about sacrifice. I learned about um, what it means to harm other creatures, and think and like really feeling all of those emotions that, as an adult, they may seem small or minor, but for me as a child, it was quite a big deal when I would turn over a log and I would ask God, is there going to be a salamander under this log? And I would pay attention to how I felt in my body, and I would determine if there was or was not going to be. And that's how I built a communication with God. And in the process of doing that, I harmed many creatures, for example. And I would feel really bad that I had like killed this bug or partly killed a bug, and like all of the things that I had experienced that now I understand that the intelligence of nature is deeply ingrained in me. And um, I I know that by talking to my clients in my office that there is something real that's happening in the world right now that is kind of scary. And I'm not a doom and gloom kind of person, but when we are dealing with technology in the way that we are today, I know that a huge part of my role is to help people understand that we truly are the greatest technology ever, ever, ever made. And that is a that is my main role in my work, is to remind people of our connection to this planet that we chose to incarnate on, and to help people remember that we are absolutely part of this system that is working so perfectly. Everything works exactly how it's supposed to, always. And um, if we continue down this path with technology, with all of the virtual reality things, and all of um, all of the things, the brain chips and the inserting actual technology within the human body, we are really at risk for disconnecting from nature in a huge way. And so I know that this is why I've come to do the work that I do, and this is why I have intellect, precision, and impeccability as my first key in my life's work. And what Richard Rudd says about precision: the ability to articulate life through the enriching language of inspiration instead of defining life through dry and dull facts. Precision is a natural balance between the head and the heart. It is the skillful use of language and mental acuity to evoke heartfelt truth and influence others in a positive way. Precision engages the mind as a form of poetry, moving others to deeper resonance with the beauty of life. And I can tell you that um, I personally don't like the word hypnosis. I am a certified quantum healing hypnosis practitioner through Dolores Cannon's program, who I adore and admire tremendously. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for her. So she died in 2014. For those of you who don't know her, check her out. She's amazing. And since 2014, we have evolved tremendously as a species. And I personally believe that what we do in here is actually the opposite of hypnosis. It's actually a waking up of the right brain, which is where the subconscious lies. It's where information comes through from this greater source, greater than us. When we wake up the right brain, we have access to what the ancient civilizations had access to when they were building these crazy structures and the pyramids and all of the things that people were doing during a time before we have been conditioned to shut off our right brain and just write it off as, oh, that's just your imagination. It doesn't mean anything. It's useless. And even detrimental. We've been told that it's nothing, it's meaningless. And in fact, it's our greatest gift and our greatest tool, and that we have is we have to wake up this part of our brain that has been dormant for quite some time. And I believe that right now, in this spiritual warfare that we are in, whatever you want to call it, that's how I see it. It is there is a lot of attempt at keeping the right brain shut off as much as possible. And I can tell you that with the people that I work with, we can do anything. We can travel anywhere. We can go anywhere. And we have capabilities beyond what we could possibly imagine. And I experience this on a regular basis. And no virtual reality or technology of any kind is even comparable. And there is an absolute precision that exists within the natural world that is truly unbelievable. And so the siddhi of impeccability, what Richard says about that, is a state of inner truth beyond the grasp of the intellect. Impeccable actions encourage, what is that? I can't even read my own handwriting. Emerge. Impeccable actions emerge directly from the pure intelligence of life. Uncorrupted by self-identification, masters of language wield words from this state to pierce the fabric of reality, opening people's hearts to a blaze of truth, fearless and without agenda. Impeccability needs no external validation. It is the utter surrender into every action as an expression of perfection. Pretty incredible. And you know, the bird that is associated with this specific key is the woodpecker. And think about what the woodpecker does, and its role in nature, you know. And I'm like I said, I want to keep these videos pretty reasonable to listen to, but I think what I will say for myself is that contemplating the shadow of this key, it is very tricky to especially with the line 6 as a teacher, it is very tricky to um, help people in a way that um, that doesn't that's information that I'm going to say it this way. Every single person that has come to see me so far is wanting to experience God within themselves, and I use the word God because I believe that God is the creator of everything that exists, so I use it in that aspect. And when you have such a strong belief of the truth that is within that, which I absolutely do, you have to be very careful to not be too much of a know-it-all, I guess. I mean, it makes perfect sense. And the key is listening. The whole key to all of this is all about listening. And sometimes I listen to people in my office for, normally a session is 5 to 6 hours. But the other day I talked to a lady for 9 hours, and I listened mostly. And I could listen to people for days and days and days. I love hearing people's stories. And I also love when I'm listening to a person tell me about their life's experiences. And I love that I get to observe in physical form what this person's experiences in this physical world have created. I'm looking at this material form of a soul's experiences and how that shows up in nature. And so if you think about a flower or trees or animals or everything, that all of these expressions of the life force, and that we are all a manifestation of nature and God, and we are showing up in material form in this way. And then when you listen to a person's life story, it's like, wow, this is a human being, and I'm observing what this person's experiences in this world actually look like. Like, it's incredible, truly incredible. And so I'm hoping that these videos get easier for me. I am a much better teacher as a part of rather than in charge of. This is how I've raised my children. I've never been a good in charge of. I don't have the personality that's an in charge of kind of personality. In my yoga classes, I do the whole class with people because I'm a much better part of rather than in charge of kind of teacher. And so it's kind of awkward and weird me sitting here by myself doing this, speaking to whoever is willing to listen. And so hopefully as time goes on, this will become more comfortable for me, and it will, evolve and make more sense, because there's a lot of depth here. And this is my first attempt at trying to get started in this thing. And I know that, as I get more comfortable, and I'll adapt more to what I'm trying to accomplish here. So if you have any questions or comments, please comment in the comment section. It will be very useful for me, and I truly, 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 truly appreciate any and all feedback. It's very, very hard to offend me. I'm open, and I'm looking to grow and evolve and learn all the time, and I thrive on all kinds of feedback. So thank you for listening, and I'll be here again soon, moving on to the evolution. So stay tuned. Thank you.